So Toronto versus Montreal. For as long as I can remember, that's kind of been a thing here, going back, to like when I first moved to Toronto with my family way back in the 80s. There's always been some kind of beef between those two cities. Obviously I'm biased because I grew up in Toronto and I live here. But, I will say that our hockey team is better, which would be the Maple Leafs versus the Canadians. I would say our food scene is much better than Montreal, just because we have more diversity here in Toronto and more food that's cooked authentically from people from all over the world. I'd also say our weather is a little bit better here in Toronto, just because it's not quite as freezing as the winters are in Montreal. And I also gotta say the women in Toronto are some of the most beautiful in the world, and I think they're more beautiful than most of the women in Montreal. Again, it's a bold claim, but again, I would say the diversity is the key thing here. I will credit Montreal and say that their art scene is much better than Toronto overall. I feel like in Montreal, the pace of life is a little more laid back, and they tend to, stop and appreciate the more important things in life. In Toronto, we love to tear down any building that's older than like 10 years. Whereas in Montreal, you get the sense that they value older architecture and older neighborhoods and things much more than we do in Toronto, which I think is a great thing. So yeah, whatever. Toronto's clearly the better city, in my opinion. But Montreal's nice. Montreal's nice. No, it's too expensive to live here. So back in October, my girlfriend and I went for a little trip to Montreal for the weekend. The city was gorgeous. We got great weather. It was sunny, and it was peak fall. All the colors and everything in the foliage made for a great backdrop for street photography. And this was my first trip to another city since pre-pandemic. And my girlfriend also has some history in the city, because she was actually born in Montreal and lived there for a couple of years with her family. And you'll see in the video, we actually visited the old neighborhood in Montreal where her family used to live before they moved to Toronto. And you'll get to check out some of the street photography that I shot in that neighborhood. So, it was a great trip, and I think I got some decent street photography done there. And we hit up all the places that we planned on going to, and just overall had a really fun time. So let's hop on the train. It's like a 5-hour train ride from Toronto to Montreal, and head on over for a photo walk through Montreal. So what's up, guys? We're just headed on the train, headed to Montreal. I barely got any sleep last night, but we'll get in the early afternoon, and I'm sure it's going to be a great weekend, and get some great street photography in Montreal. Haven't been there since 2018, so it's been a few years. So really looking forward to this trip. It's going to be a lot of fun. Get some great shots and explore a really cool city.
What's up, everybody? My name is Roger Prasad. Just kidding. It's not. My name is Suzanne. I am the other person on this trip to Montreal. We are going to explore the sights and sounds of the city, and we're super excited.
Well, can't you see you're looking for